Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Powerless Podcast. In this episode, I talked to Nathan Johnson, who is the vocalist and lyricist of the band Fox Lake out of Colorado. We chat a lot about Nathan's upbringing in music. We talk a little bit about country music a little bit at the very beginning and some of our thoughts on some different artists and things of that nature. We talk about Nathan starting kind of getting going and writing music and his classical piano training as well, and how that's implemented a little bit into their interludes and their music and things of that nature. And then, of course, we break down their new album that is out August 1st, New World Heat. Absolutely fantastic record. This is going to be up there. I've been talking to a lot of great bands lately, but this one's going to be up there for me for Album of the Year contender, because this one really knocks it out of the park with lyricism, with attitude, with new metal influences, with metalcore, with everything in between. So it's an absolutely fantastic record. It was great to break down this album track by track with Nathan. We talk about each of our favorite songs, some of the different things that went into the recording, the production process, the songwriting process, and the whole nine yards. So it was absolutely fantastic to talk to Nathan about this record and have him on. Really easygoing guy, really great person to talk to. I was a little intimidated before we did this because some of his lyrics are so, attitude focused and aggressive. But as always, whenever I feel that way with people on the show, they end up being the nicest people that I talk to. So definitely go check out the record New World Heat. It will be out again August 1st everywhere you can listen to music. You can buy the merch, buy the physical copies, buy everything in between to help support the band. And I just really hope people enjoy this conversation with Nathan as we break down the record. Before we get into it, just remember you can find the podcast on all social media platforms at The Powerless Pod. You can email me at thepowerlesspod@gmail.com if you want to be on the show. If you just want to get in contact with me, whatever the case may be, talk to artists, I talk to songwriters, I talk to producers, I talk to journalists, I talk to activists, I talk to political commentators, everything in between from music, politics, and how they intersect. So I'd really love to chat with new people I haven't talked to before. If you've heard this and you think you kind of fit into the same kind of framework of this conversation Nathan and I have, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I will talk to anybody and everybody that has a story to tell. So reach me at all those places. You can also support the podcast on Patreon for as little as $2.50 a month, and that goes a long way with supporting things, with helping with the editing and different platforms you have to use and all that good stuff. And yeah, you can do that. You can buy merch like with the logo on the back here on mugs and hoodies and t-shirts and everything in between. I think there's like stickers and stuff, but that link will be below as well as on the website, thepowerlesspod.com, where you can pretty much find everything from the written pieces to blog posts to merch to full episodes, all in one place. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy the episode. And again, right before we get into this, I need to do a better job of talking about this in the going forward. I feel like I've not done a good service of talking about it, so I didn't know what else to contribute other than what you can see from better journalists and commentators and things of that nature that talk about this issue that's been going on for several decades, but really escalated over the last 21 months, which is the starvation and mass slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza. As of recording this Tuesday of this week, July 29th, people are starving to death every day. There are people being bombed every day, trying to get flour, trying to get food. There are people being humiliated by the Israeli Defense Forces. There are people dying in the street from starvation. And it's just unequivocally the worst and most egregious war crime in my lifetime and many others. So I do encourage people to go to, I know it's very tough to kind of get actual assistance to people in Gaza right now. There are Israeli blockades, both from the government as well as civilians that are blocking food and aid and everything from prosthetic limbs to prosthetic eyes to baby formula, as parents are so starved they can't even feed their children, clothing, sanitation, everything in between. Those things are getting blocked currently by the Israeli government, as well as, like I said, civilians. So I do have a list here that I'm going to have in the notes below from the website The Cut, which is a great source to find reputable places where you can still donate and provide assistance if you have anything you can do at all to assist people in Gaza. There's organizations called everything from Reviving Gaza, which distributes filtered water, hot meals, and dry food parcels to victims in Gaza. There's Amal for Gaza, which provides financial help, supplies, water, and meals. There's the Samir Project, which said last week that is currently unable to feed Gazans because it can't find food, but the group is still providing water, tents, and medications to people on the ground. There's Gaza Soup Kitchen, which provides meals to displaced families by sourcing ingredients from remaining farms in North Gaza. Dignity for Palestine, which supports displaced Gazans with food parcels, clean water, and medications. And Oxfam, of course, which works with local partners to provide a wide range of humanitarian aid and fundraising to scale up its response wherever it's allowed. You can donate to all those. Again, that will be below. I'll also have the screenshot up here in the intro. But please consider donating to these vetted organizations. I know people are very cautious to donate to where money won't get to people or food won't get to people or it's a scam or whatever the case may be. And I'm very understanding of that, but that is not an excuse to not try to assist people that are being harmed immensely collectively by our own tax dollars. So again, go to this website that I'll have below, as well as the screenshot up here on the screen, and make sure if you have $1, if you have $5, if you have $25, whatever the case may be, donate. It could mean the difference between a little child getting food that they desperately need to survive. So after all of that, we will be getting into the episode with Nathan Johnson of Fox Lake, breaking down their latest record, New World Heat, on the Powerless Podcast. Thank you so much.
I'd like to welcome you to the land of the free, to the home of the brave. Our corporations by authority, yeah, we do what they say. Heroes and cowards, leaders and slaves. Crooked politicians and crooked police. Fighting the wars and screaming for peace. Using the racist criminal justice system to gain free labor. When they break the old laws, they just call it favors.
I'm here for the next episode of the Powerless Podcast with Nathan Johnson, who is the vocalist of the metal band Fox Lake out of Denver, Colorado. We're here to chat, obviously, about your upcoming album, New World Heat, that's out on August 1st. I was lucky enough to get, an advance, link for it to check it out, obviously, before we did this, and it absolutely fucking rips, which is no surprise from your previous catalog. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on and doing this with me. Before we get started, just kind of, I guess like one thing I like to do with people when I've never spoken to them before on the show or don't know them personally is kind of to break the ice a little bit. It's kind of just ask you, what have you been listening to a lot lately? Are there, whether it's a band you want to shout out, biggest metal band in the world, pop singer, whatever the case may be, what's been, your Spotify on repeat or equivalent of lately?
I love it. I love icebreakers.
Said no one ever, but yeah.
No, I really do. I really do.
Okay, good.
Like that's like my thing. Like our long drives on tour, I'm like, okay, what are your Mount Rushmore of condiments? Like I'm all about it.
I love that. I gotta take that one. I gotta add that for the next time I do one of these.
Dude, I got so many for you. Man, what have I been listening to? Honestly, this is maybe pathetic, but I gotta pull up my Spotify.
No, that's all right. I have to do that all the time. I don't know what I listen to other than like 3 bands a lot of the time.
Yeah, right. I feel like I'm always listening to. I've been like trying to be intentional about like coming back to albums, but I use Spotify almost like social media. Like
yeah,
I'm just always listening to like new stuff, and I feel like I'm like that was cool, and then I listen to like 10 more albums that came out the next week, and then I like forget what I had. So one artist that I've loved for a long time who just put out a new record is his name is Ken Yates. Been loving that. It's singer-songwriter Americana, I guess you could say, indie.
Yeah.
Depressing, like just very sad, depressing music. I always listen to a little bit of I Am. I Am is goated for me. So I'm always listening to some I Am as far as metal goes. I've been into the band Weeping. I love them. They put out a record, I think it was 24, called Each Breath Worthless. And it's like, I think it's a 10 or 9 song record, but it probably lasts like 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely one of those like, yeah, every song's like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love them. And then this is maybe an obvious one, but the Whitechapel record is
Yeah,
unreal.
that one's been like having staying power for me as well.
Yeah.
A friend of the show and I that's been on here a few times, we were talking about it, that like we were like a little uneasy. It came out I think the same day as the Spirit Box record, if I remember right.
Yeah,
And
big day.
and we were both like, we'll really like the Spirit Box record because they do what they do and they do it really well, and it's kind of like an encapsulation of modern metal. And I was a little apprehensive about the Whitechapel one because the singles were a little weird, right? Like they felt like a little different for the band. I didn't quite know where they were going with it. And then when it came out, it was like, oh no, this is like one of the best albums they put out in a while. Like this is like
Yeah.
really good, you know. And all the singles. It's weird to say this because like I'm not usually someone that like thinks like, oh, in context the song will feel totally different, but with them it did. I don't know what it was, but like the whole album is like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely one that I like to listen the whole way through instead of like picking out some singles to throw in a playlist or whatever, you know.
I
Definitely still
agree.
showing that they're one of the best to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed that first single that felt to me like it came out of nowhere, a Visceral Wretch. And
Mhm.
I was like, because I feel like I've been a Whitechapel fan through their last few records, but I know a lot of people, at least that I've talked to, haven't been as, I think what people want out of Whitechapel is like their old stuff,
Yeah.
and they went like, Phil was doing like some of the singing and melodic stuff, and it almost like started to lean like post rock,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
not
definitely.
totally, but like a little
But
bit.
it had
And
those elements. Yeah,
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 right,
definitely.
yeah, and but I still really loved it. I love Kin, that album.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the name of the record, Kin. Yeah, the blue
I
one.
think so. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and then this new one was just like I loved what they were doing, but a return to form and just an immediate like deathcore classic. And I'm a sucker for deathcore. I always tell people like I don't listen to, and maybe I don't know, maybe you hear this a lot, but I don't really listen to too much metal, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
hear that a lot from
do.
metal vocalists specifically too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think especially the more we tour, it's like I'm at a metal show every night.
Mhm.
And so it's not always what I want to listen to, but also outside of that, I'm a classically trained pianist and I play like classical and like jazz piano. And so I feel like I just have other interests, that are like kind of like a broad range. So I'm not always going for metal, but I am a huge sucker for country. Country's probably my favorite genre.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
What's like a go to country artist for you that you're a big fan of?
Brooks and Dunn, dude. Brooks and Dunn,
Yeah, yeah.
Neon Moon. A new one that I'm obsessed with is this guy called Zach Top.
Zach Top. I'll have to save that one here.
Zach
This is why I
Top.
really do this. Is it gives me a bunch of homework. That's what I do every
Yeah,
time. And then
yeah,
I
yeah,
just have
yeah,
like a whole list of bands and artists I have to check out. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I put that one down here. That's good. I would have saved it, but Spotify for me is completely not working right now. So,
No
but
problem.
I'll add that in. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
mean,
Zach Top, dude.
I think for a lot of people in like the metal community, first and foremost, I think musicians in general are a lot more eclectic than maybe their fans, right? Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
no shade on Fox Lake fans or other, but you know, like people get very invested in their genre as a fan.
yeah,
Where
for
musicians,
sure.
it's like, you know, if you were only pulling from a Whitechapel, or you know, you guys kind of have like a little bit of like, you know, the new metalcore coded stuff with like a lot of, you know, turntable sounds and all, and record scratches and all that. If you were only listening to that, your music would just sound like a carbon copy of something else you were listening to, right?
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
I think most musicians, like, you know, how many times I've had like somebody on that's like just in the heaviest band ever, and they're like, oh yeah, I love the new Billie Eilish record. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it makes a lot more sense. I mean, I think country for a lot of metal fans gets a bad rep because they're used to what I would kind of label like arena country or country pop in a lot of ways, which there's still some good artists in that. I think people
Yeah,
also like put that under an umbrella that all of it sucks. But there's like a whole wealth of
yeah,
like sort of indie country or singer songwriter country, or like, you know, somebody like me that grew up on a farm, like we call real country, of just like some, you know, real drawl over
yeah,
some acoustic guitar, like love, you know, lovesick kind of music. And
yeah.
it's just good songwriting, you know?
Nobody seems to have a problem with like oh, of course I'm blanking on his name, Coulter Wall,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
Charlie Crockett or whatever. But when
Mhm.
it comes to like Blake Shelton or something, that it does feel more polarizing to like fans on the other side of the musical spectrum, which I totally get. My go-to is definitely like 90s country. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Alan Jackson, and even older too. I love like outlaw country, like Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and all that stuff. But my real love is the 90s, like
The
Shania
90s.
Twain. Yeah,
Oh
Alan
yeah.
Jackson, George Strait, like I love that stuff. It's
You're
so
naming off the stuff
wholesome.
I grew up with. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
yeah,
wholesome, and it's also like I don't know. I say this over and over and over on the show, but like a good song is a good song, right? Like if you can appreciate something for what it is and it genuinely sounds authentic, and you should like you should at least appreciate it even if it's not your thing. Where like I think for me, what can come off where I don't like something is where it feels like it's more of like a business venture or like,
yeah, yeah.
that kind of thing. And like, again, I'm not here to shit on all that stuff, but like, that's where I can like kind of separate that stuff in my own head. But like, yeah, I mean, Shania Twain or something like that, like some of those records, George Strait, Willie Nelson, everyone
Uh-huh.
you're naming off, like, it's like those are timeless. Those these are records kind of like what people think of with classic rock and the kind of rock realm of like it came out in the 60s or whatever or
Uh,
90s or 80s and you could throw it on today and it holds up.
and it still
That's
hits.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
what percent.
yeah, I think so much of what I love about country is that, pop right now, kind of what you're saying, this like manufactured industry plant, for lack of a better term, is like you're sticking to a formula that is, and the formula is, yeah, it's supposed to be catchy and it's supposed to be good, but it's for streams and it's for sync licensing and it's for this and that. And not to say country doesn't have that or even 90s country doesn't have that, but I think like so much of like what like American songwriting does and comes from is like Nashville.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so
yeah.
much of the 90s is like, no, I mean, they don't get talked about, but it's like some of the best songwriters ever. I mean, like there's certain people who like wrote songs and they're just songwriters, but it's like so many Brooks and Dunn, so many Alan Jacksons. That's just like a master craft of songwriting and
Yeah.
storytelling in songwriting, and like that's what's so cool to me. I love hearing like the just you know the apex of that craft is so cool.
Yeah, the kind of nowadays it would be sort of like the I don't know if like the big university down there of like music songwriting and stuff is Belmont and like you'll hear about so many
I know
people even
Belmont.
you'll meet I've talked to a few people on here even that have come out of there that it's like they're just like so into some of them want to make sure it's their own music but some other people are like no I just want to write a song get a bunch of money from some big artist that they
Yeah,
use and like
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
do and like that's kind of like it's cool yeah it's like you said like if you go through the song credits of some people and you like start seeing the same name over and over again
Mm-hmm.
you're like that's somebody that literally like wrote one of the biggest songs in the world and they probably love that no one knows their name you
Yeah,
know what I mean
honestly, yeah, and they're probably
yeah
making more money than the artist too.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like,
At least from the music, if not,
yeah,
live tours aside from arenas or whatever. But yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
It's just like an interesting side that I think a lot of fans don't necessarily think of in the industry.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I do think I agree with you. I think that so many musicians that we talk to on tour, it is pretty rare that like we're on tour and somebody's like, I exclusively am listening to Knock Loose. Like everybody
Yeah.
listens to the album and they love it, but it's like, if it's metal, it's like older or like fringe. And if it's anything else, it's pop or house or something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about even like for yourselves with Fox Lake. You got your upcoming album coming out that we're gonna chat about, and like I don't know, like do you have time to while you're writing some heavy riffs and like angry lyrics and trying to deliver that kind of emotional side to you or whatever you're going for? Do you have time to like continually listen to and absorb like every new metal release? Like I wouldn't be able to do like I can't do that, and I don't even tour. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
just
Yeah.
it's just not a lot of people I mean a lot of us listen to our favorite 10 records over and over again to begin with, right? But yeah, I mean that's a good point that I think is under like underrepresented I think with fandoms and things like that in conversations with music for sure.
Yeah.
Well thanks for going over that.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate the insight on that and I love when I can chat with a fellow metalhead about like some good country music that doesn't happen
Yeah.
very often.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It doesn't happen for me either. And I'm like, yeah, I'm stoked. And it's
Uh,
always the same thing. People are like, oh, that's what my mom listened to. And I'm like, your mom has good taste.
yeah, that means your mom showed you some ripping music. That's what that
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had
yeah.
a good upbringing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're lucky you weren't listening to just like the radio over and over again, right?
Right.
Well, thanks for going over that again. Got some homework for some of these artists and
There you
releases to
go.
check out, which actually I absolutely love. It gets me into things out of my comfort zone. What I like to do with you here before we kind of get into the record, what I like to do with bands a lot, especially if I've got the person that I'm guessing you primarily do the lyrics for your vocals, right? Is that fair to say? Is kind of talk overarchingly about where we kind of got into it a little bit already, where music became a big passionate thing for you, where the band started from, and then we can kind of get into the record. At least a few of the songs I specifically am interested to get your takes on the lyrics, especially some of the
Yeah,
more social commentary ones. I think there's probably a lot more to say there. Some of
right.
them seem like you're literally just talking about beating the shit out of people that piss you off, but I could be wrong about that as well. We'll get into that. But first and foremost, obviously your band. For people that don't know, if I'm not wrong, you're in a band with your brother, who's the guitarist, correct? Like that's
Excuse me. Yeah, so my brother Griff was the drummer, and he recently stepped away.
Oh, okay. This is where
Yeah,
online stuff gets it completely wrong because I was
I
trying to
know.
look up, you're
I
looking up
know.
things and it's like, oh, he played guitar. That's not true at all. Okay. But regardless, you started off in this band at least with like your brother being in the band. So clearly like coming
Hmm.
from some sort of like musical background in your family or just upbringing or whatever the case may be. But yeah, where did, music first become a big thing for you? What was kind of some of the first music that got you out of, just like we were just talking about earlier, what parents might be throwing on or somebody else might be throwing on? What kind of like really made it, start becoming a passionate thing for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, like canon event songs, I always loved music like as a kid. The first record I bought with my own money was Under Oath, They're Only Chasing Safety.
Classic.
And the second one I think I bought with my own money was The Chariot.
Those are great two starting records.
Yeah, yeah, and like even looking back on it, I was like, oh, that's heavy, especially The Chariot, like that's some real kind of chaotic stuff. And then Devil Wears Prada Plagues was the next one. I think I always gravitated towards heavy music, and then once I really found like a love for music, that's when I started to find other genres that interested me. But yeah, I think like the start for me was the typical heavy stuff. Like I said, that Under Oath was the first, and then Fall Out Boy and Yellow Card and some pop punk like that. So I think I start my music kind of like when I became like autonomous about my music taste. I think it was Warped Tour stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, I just always loved music. Like we do have a musical family, and I just kind of took like piano lessons, and then kind of picked it up in high school because I saw my friend doing it, and all the girls loved him because he played piano. And so I was like, hey, I might want to
Good
like
motivator. Yeah, yeah.
revisit this piano thing. And so I picked piano back up in high school, and I just for some reason just had like a real knack for it, and then got like really good really quick, and that's when I decided like I think this is what I want to do. So I almost went to Belmont. I got accepted at Belmont, and I just didn't end up going because of money. But yeah, I have two degrees in music, and then yeah, like playing the music, it was just a no-brainer, like so.
Yeah, yeah. You get into it from all these different angles, and then you end up, doing the heavy thing that you started with from the beginning, right? I
Right.
am interested because we'll get into this a little bit, but you've brought up a few times that you're a classically trained pianist. Is it you that does like the interlude on this
Yeah.
record, or okay? Because
Yeah,
when
I've
you
done
said that, I
all
was
the
like, that had to be
interludes.
you. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's like a really cool part to this very heavy, aggressive record that right in the middle of it, halftime, you pull out the chops for the piano. That's kind of like a cool element to kind of like look back at like some of your origin story there a little bit with music. That's kind of a fun thing to add in there.
Yeah, I think too. It is fun for me because like being the vocalist of like a new metal band. It's not exactly. I mean I love jazz, and I love classical, and I love music theory. And when I'm home, that's my job is I like play and teach piano.
Okay, cool.
And so being able to like put some of because I don't really play guitar. It's and not metal guitar. And so it can be frustrating for me as like classically trained, and I really love theory. like music theory, and it can
Mhm.
be frustrating to me when we're writing and I'm like, I just have like words to describe kind of what I'm wanting to put here. So being able to like have like little parts of the record where I'm able to put something that I'm good at instrumentally in there is fun for me, and it's cool. And it's something that we did on the first record,
Mhm.
and then we had it on Fear and Loathing, and that was kind of just random that it kind of came out that way. A guy who was putting extra production on there was kind of like, yeah, I like kind of have this thing, and we're like, oh, that's cool. Let's put it as an interlude. And then we were looking at this record, and we're like, well, that's kind of been a theme now, so like, why not keep it consistent?
Yeah, yeah, and it again, it pulls out a little cool side of it, and it's almost like legitimately in the record, it's almost like an actual like intermission, like what you would have like
Yeah,
way back in the day of and like a cool bridge for like the A and B sides of the record too, which is cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's all encapsulating, and then you still get to go hard as fuck on the rest of the songs, and it all works out.
yeah.
Well, I guess as we're talking about it here, you've had like you said, you've had plenty of releases in the past. Your back catalog is you've got a lot of great songs that I think uh this record is definitely a what's the word I'm looking for, like a pretty cohesive like next step from all of those. Like it's definitely just like a good trajectory for the band. But this
Hmm.
one to me felt like it was like definitely a step up as far as the production goes, as well as like everything from the riffs to like the extra little elements of sounds you add into like what I like to call the alien noises that you guys throw in there, like
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like you're talking about like the kind of new metal sounds that we see so much in modern metal now in a really cool way. Was there kind of talk overarchingly with this record, the approach you guys took? Was it kind of the you know pretty consistent way you've written songs, and like how does that go for the band in general? Just kind of speak to you overarchingly, the process of making the record, production, etc.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think going into the record, we had our word for the record when we were writing was urgent or urgency. Like we just felt like between what we enjoy and what we wanted the band to be, we just wanted to be a little bit faster. Like it felt like from our other stuff, like we're like, okay, I feel like I mean, we can write a slow down breakdown and we can do this heavy stuff and we can do these kind of like groove verses, but we're like, we want to be faster. We want this urgency in there. And so that was a big thing going into the record, is just feeling like there were so many songs I think that it did end up on the record where our demo, because our writing process had been the same, we were like, this is a sweet demo. We are intentionally going to bump the BPM like 10
Yeah.
and just see what happens, And then that changed how the song was written and structured and changed this riff. And then we also, I would think we all love different music in the band, but I don't think it's a stretch to say like the one like solid band that we all love is like the most is Rage Against the Machine.
You're speaking my
And
language there. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
so between like Wes Borland and Limp Bizkit and Tom Morello for Rage, we felt like in like you said, those alien noises are all over modern metal now, but we felt like that was something we had done in the past and we wanted to really incorporate more of that because of those influences, you know? And like how can we bring that to a new generation or new style of new metal? So that was definitely, yeah, it's cool you picked that out because it was intentional to be like, all right, we want to like write riffs and then be like, how can we make this different?
Yeah, I want to say because I put down my notes. A lot of times I'm listening through the record the whole way through, so I might be saying the wrong song, but I want to say it was Headshot that starts off with like the wah guitar, like really, like with like some, and my note that I had was like, this sounds like Wes Borland wrote it. You know what I mean?
Hell
So
yeah.
so that's cool that that's like legitimately what you guys are going
Yeah.
for, because it's there. You know what I mean? It's like, what if a band that screams a little bit more and has a little heavier breakdowns did a Limp Bizkit riff, and it was exactly
Yep.
that, and not like the lower sludgier ones he does, more of like those. I was thinking of him, and Tom Morello says this really well with his music, that like when Rage started, he kind of had to be the DJ when there wasn't a
Yes.
DJ, right? Like he's doing the scratches on the guitar and things like that. Like it definitely has that element to it in that song specifically for the guitar work, which is a really cool thing. I love that as an amateur guitar player myself. Like I really love that kind of thing when people kind of throw those elements
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
because both
Yeah.
Borland and Morello, I think, found like a different way to play guitar than a lot of people. Like,
Hmm.
I love that. Like, I think Borland said a while back that he was like, yeah, I play the guitar like a drum, and I kind of like
Yes.
love that
Yeah.
element of it, and you guys definitely have that in this record overarchingly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it seemed intentional. It's good to hear that it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that came across. We definitely wanted to have. We just felt like if the whole record was like, I don't know, two-step riffs or something, it's just not going to be. It's not going to be what we want. But I don't think it's going to be like the new metal kind of sound that we are going for.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. You still find ways to bring in a lot of those other, metal elements you're talking about. Whether it would be, sort of a chaotic energy of like a, just because you brought them up earlier, Chariot or whatever the case may be. Like all those elements are still in there, but like, yeah, the new and new metal is definitely at the forefront of this record. I'd say more than some of your other releases.
Yeah.
So kind of going into the record, if you don't mind, some of them might be short, some of them you might have a lot more to say, but I like to do track by tracks with people. It seems like a lot of people enjoy that, like that are fans, to really kind of hear your
Yeah. Yeah.
thoughts on each song. We've already talked about halftime as the interlude, like, which is cool that you
Yeah.
got, you
There you
got
go.
the kind of jazz piano and all that kind of stuff going in there. But yeah, starting off with For the Love of the Game, the track starting off again, it starts with a little bit of like, I don't know if that's one of you guys or somebody else or an actual sample, but it kind of starts off with this little bit of a message right before it hits really hard that people should definitely check out when it comes out on August 1st. But yeah, just kind of speak to this one, thoughts on it musically, lyrically, etc.
Yeah. I thought, this one I might have more thoughts on. I love this track. I think this is probably like top three tracks for me on the record. The I wanted to so much of the time, especially with metal, but like even our style of new metal or just kind of like caveman, just like one of our friends said that this record sounds like graffiti, and I
I
was
get
like,
that.
I love that. That's like
Yeah, yeah.
perfect. But I think in that, I think you lose a little bit of the artistic intentionality
Hmm.
that comes with some other bands that like Knocked Loose does really well, and even Spirit Box does really well. And so I wanted to start the record with a sample um, that that gave a lens to view the record in that's further than just the surface depth of new metal and fast and hardcore or whatever. So I felt like that song, the lyrics in that song, but also that clip were really important as far as what I wanted to convey lyrically and artistically for the record. And so I love that one. And I think it's a good opening track too. Lyrically, it's like, are you ready? Buckle up. Are you ready to die? It's kind of this challenge. And then Mugshot being on it, like they killed the spot. And so we were super, super stoked that Ringo and Michael got on the track. And that one is definitely, I think it's so interesting because like we're gonna put out these singles, and I think most of our singles lean like maybe lighter or more like new metal. And so I'm excited for people to like put on the record and be like, this is like,
It goes.
like there's not a lot of new metal parts in that. Like it's just a
It goes so like the
metalcore song.
lows at that, at that one moment where it gets like the like guttural lows come in, and it's just like,
Yeah.
good God, man, like what, like this is unrelenting in the best way. Yeah, that's kind of like a theme. I feel like that maybe the this first song kicks off a little bit. You talked about you wanted the record to feel, as far as the music goes, urgency. You just talk about like, buckle up. Basically, are you, it's the first line, and are you ready to, are you ready to die? Like this record feels like there's a lot of different elements of anger in it. There's a little bit of social commentary. There's a little bit, there, or not a little bit. There's a decent amount of social commentary in it. All these different things, and it feels like it's not just like urgency in the music level. It feels like urgency as far as like an existential crisis almost. Right? Was that kind of like where your headspace was at overarchingly with the record?
Yeah, exactly. I think the urgency of feeling like you're in trouble,
Yeah.
like feeling like there's been a problem, but we're at a point where like we have to act.
Yeah.
I think it is definitely like a big theme, and maybe like the main theme about this record, in the quote that like I wrote for the record once it was finished. the main idea, because there's so many little ideas that come into New World Heat, and the idea around it. But I think the main thing for me is the idea of action begets action and inaction begets inaction.
Mhm.
And having that urgency of like socially, politically, internally with yourself, relationally in your own life, like take the step, do the thing, you know? And so yeah, like buckle up, put your money where your mouth is felt like a really perfect way to like start the record.
Yeah, it kind of encapsulates a lot of what you're talking about throughout the whole record. And
Right.
again, first and foremost, the music holds up with the lyrics. Like I think the lyrics are very poignant on this record, but like, I always say on this show over and over again, especially when I talk to people when they've got like very in the weeds, topics that they talk about, is like if the music wasn't good, nobody would give a fuck, right? Like you could
True,
preach like
true.
great poetry and no one would care if the song wasn't very good, and yet
Yeah,
it comes in swinging. That's what I really liked about this record is like every emotion you're showing in the song is like sent over the top with the emotion of the music, and they're very like connected. Like
yeah,
you're
good.
you're not you're doing songs that sound aggressive and like daunting and again existential, and then the lyrics are heavy and daunting and existential, and it just kind of delivers exactly what you're going for here. So yeah, great song. I know this is one of the things like where I know this is a good record, and I say this a lot on the show when I do these breakdowns, but like every song I listened to as I was going through, and I've listened through it like 4 or 5 times now, is that like I was like, oh no, that's my favorite, oh no, that's my favorite, that's my, and
Sick,
that's what
sick.
that's when it's doing what it's supposed to.
I
There's
was
not a
gonna
filler.
ask you if you've listened to it a few times, do you have a favorite?
We'll get to it. For me, like I'm always a sucker, especially with doing the show so much. I love music, like I said, Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that, that really, really talks about, it's kind of like the old adage or whatever of like holding the mirror to the world and showing what's wrong with it. That's where
Right.
like Savior, before I even got the advance of the record, you had put out the song Savior. And for me, just like the lyrics in that one, it's like, wow, this guy covered like 6 different, you know,
Yeah,
major
there's a
topics
lot
of the
going on in
world.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it was just like the way you delivered it and the song's still fun. Like I would have to go back again. I'm not gonna for sure say that's my favorite, but
Okay,
that
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
like it's like when I heard it, I was like, that was when I heard it, and when I was sent this over, I was like, oh yeah, I want to have this band on. You get what I'm saying?
Sick. Yeah, yeah. Cool, cool.
So yeah, but like every single one of them's just top notch. Um, before we get to that one, get to a song that's track 10 here. Let's get to the next one. Tough Luck. Kind of speak to me about what your thoughts are on this one, and everything in between.
Yeah, this one is another favorite of mine. And I felt like this, yeah, it's cool to come out of For the Love of the Game and then go into what I think is probably like the most groovy song on the record. I love the verses in this one. And yeah, I think this song is like just the idea of like, sometimes you do everything right. Like you do your taxes right and they're like you get punished, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can climb the corporate ladder and like somebody's still gonna screw you over, or whatever, like and then also like internally, like things sometimes like people, and myself, right? It's like feel like I'm doing everything right, but like just not happy, or X, Y, and Z is not the outcome that I want. And it's like, well, maybe I'm doing it to myself, and like that's just tough luck. Like it's kind of the world. So I like this one. It's just, yeah, I like the grooviness of it. And then I think the middle breakdown of this one might be like the most beat down thing we've ever done.
I mean, I don't know your music as well as you do, obviously, but I could see that being the case. Like this one, yeah, this one, groovy is a good word for it. I think there's like a lot of cool elements like musically in this one that like especially coming off of the first track,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of delivers that different side that you were talking about earlier. Of so your band definitely knows how to do the groove and do things that like a lot of modern metal bands can do in a really cool way with those elements. But yeah, it still has that sort of like, it's funny, you can go like really groovy with it and still have this kind of like ping of existential dread throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
feel your
yeah.
head bobbing to like the bass riff or whatever the case may be, or some of the soundscapes you're doing, and then yeah, you realize what the lyrics are about, and you sit back for a second and think about it. Yeah, like this one is cool. I think, yeah, the tax that, I think that was the lyrics in it right here. I've got them pulled up. Where is this the one where you mention straight up about, or maybe it's a different one, but like you mentioned, at least in the record, you literally mentioned taxes and all these different things
Yeah,
throughout the
yeah,
record, and
yeah.
yeah, it's just like what a relatable thing to talk about in general, of that kind of element of like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what people tell me I'm supposed to do. I'm working hard. I do the, I go about things the right way, and yet I'm still stuck here feeling like everything is fucked, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
and what I like about that too, when you do these songs, like there's a few other ones coming up here where like they're very rage filled, like they're very like full of vitriol and anger, and yet it's still like introspective, which is I
Mm,
think an interesting approach and a cool approach to take for the music for sure.
cool. Yeah, I appreciate you picking up on that and saying that. I think one thing we've talked about internally a lot is I have this like ultra cringe for any, and it happens all the time, so I'm not dogging any one band specifically if I accidentally quote somebody, but like the whole like, I don't know, something like you were my brother and you're a snake and you stabbed me in the back and I hope, like those lyrics to me are just like any like one liner before a breakdown and it's like I hope you something. I always have just been like, that's so soft.
Yeah,
Like I hope something bad happens to you. It's like, okay.
like
Like
cool.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
really hit
So
him hard there, you know.
yeah, you know what I mean? And like, and then there's like this super heavy breakdown. I've always just like, it's just not how I write. It's not, I don't think it's cool. So I feel like a lot of times in writing the lyrics, I almost like write it to myself. Like I almost write it to the version of myself that like I'm unhappy with, or the
Yeah,
things in my life that I'm upset with. And so many of like in the past of our like kind of like fuck you songs, yeah, obviously it comes off as like it's kind of badass. There's bravado. It's like this, song. But I think a lot of times I really am writing it to like myself or an element of my life that I want to like overcome. And I think having those double layers is like really important to me. And I just think it's an easier way for me to write.
and again, it's also using a little bit of catharsis for yourself, right? Or getting, kind of getting this cathartic feeling out within your own music, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like a little bit of extra therapy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
And
in a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
have to
ways.
play it every night. So like I want it to be authentic and like a reminder of like who I want to be too, not just like a reminder of like somebody I don't like.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the way to go. I think, yeah, first and foremost, that's like a way to appreciate your song after you've heard it for the thousandth time before it's released, as well as
Right.
playing it every night. That has
Exactly.
that staying power for yourself, not just your fans. But yeah, again, I'm going to say this every single time, but song rips first and foremost, and also like that kind of delivery is a really cool element to this record. Next one coming up is freestyle. Is any of the song an actual freestyle, or is that just like a fun name you got there?
That's just that, yeah, that's
Okay, I'm just being a dipshit. But yeah, go ahead and speak to this one. Yeah.
yeah, so I know I just said that stuff about Tough Luck, but the next two songs are actually fuck you songs. Like
Yeah, yeah. Felt
direct,
that way.
like
Yeah.
yeah. Um so uh freestyle is I think a song that so in the like sub genre that we're in, I think there's been times as being a band where like we're not like singy metalcore enough to fit in with some of that, but then like the music we like and listen to most of all is like more hardcore music.
Mhm.
And especially starting out as a band, we played a lot of those shows and like people just hated it because we were rapping, and like that makes sense. I'm not saying like that's like why didn't like terror fans like this? Like I get it. But I think just in that, I think we've experienced just in like the niche that we're trying to do, I think we've experienced obviously some like obviously people are going to talk shit and like that's fine, but I think even like in the industry or like other bands who are like, oh, you're not, it's not heavy enough, or like, oh, that's cute kind of idea has made us a little in the past made us kind of question like, are we cringe, like are we is this stupid, and like how can we be better? And instrumentally, this was the last song that we wrote on the record. The full song came together the last day that we of our writing in the studio. And like, I mean, that's insane. Like one song in a full day. It's like the last day. And we originally titled it PS1,
Nice.
or it was Most Violent PS1 Game. And like, it just felt like it reminded me of like PS1, PS2, like being a kid. And I just took this sound and I was like, I feel like this is so in the fucking pocket of what we wanted this record to be, of what we're good at, of what we do. And I was like, this song needs to be like, I'm doing it my way, I'm doing it freestyle, and I know it's good, and I know it's locked in, and I know other people like it. And so like stay mad. Like so it felt like kind of a freedom for us to be like, I feel like this song is so perfectly like Fox Lake,
Mhm.
like what we want Fox Lake to be, that it felt like the perfect opportunity to kind of do the I'm doing it my way, I really don't care if you don't like it.
Yeah, and again, not to keep using the same words over and over, but the like in your own elements of like being a touring band, not just like talking about something in the world or general ideas of urgency that are the things you've alluded to, like being able to just like kind of let that loose of like this kind of, I could see like in the industry, like because God, like the industry, just like fandoms in some ways can be so, that's better than me, can be so nichey and so
Hmm.
clicky and so
Yeah.
weird about that, and so especially like even someone that more did just like local the kind of like fake positivity than saying weird stuff about the music afterwards when you're not there, like that kind of deal. And so to be able to deliver a song like that again is first and foremost fun, and also kind of getting that off your chest as a whole band is cool. And then you talk about doing it live. If you get to do this song live, that's like it's a fun thing you can kind of like throw out there literally every night, that this is who we
Right.
are, and it
Yeah.
rips, and deal with it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. And I think too, this one just felt big to us. It felt like it's a short song. I mean, they're all kind of shorter on the shorter side, but like it felt like the most just yeah, just like I said, like locked in, kind of like mature of like some people might say that song's new metal, some people might say that song's metalcore, but it's Fox Lake. Like that felt
Yeah.
the most like us. And then and it has my favorite one-liner on the record and my favorite breakdown on the record. So, yeah,
What's
that
your is your favorite one liner the last lyric on the
yeah,
song?
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah. The
yeah,
you can't bury what was born in the fucking dirt. Like I love
yeah,
that one. When I would listen through it, I was like waiting for that line every time. So yeah, that's
yeah.
a good one.
That's my favorite. That's that whole sequence, and like the drums are so sick right there, and it's like it slows down, and yeah, that one came so easily to me. I'm not gonna lie and say like lyrics come easy to me because it takes me forever, and I write like multiple versions of each song and like pick and choose or like whatever. But like that one, like I was just listening to it and I was like, you tried to put me in the grave, but you never learned you can't bury what's born in the fucking dirt. And I was like, "No, perfect. Send it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's so good. Yeah, that line rips. Go to the next one, track four, right? Track
Yep.
four, which is go for the throat again, like you
Yep.
said, another obvious fuck you song. Go ahead and give any details of this one that you got for the people.
This one is one of the first songs that we wrote in like the full writing cycle, and um, the idea was we were kind of like wanted something that was like POD-esque and and um and it just felt more fun to me. It just
Mhm.
and so do you play Magic the Gathering?
I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
I was never good enough to like keep up with people I knew that
Yeah.
played it. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a commitment.
yeah.
I'm a huge Magic fan, and this one of the kind of a popular card in Magic is Go for the Throat, and
Mhm.
the card is just like destroy target creature. Like
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward. And so this was another one that was I have like two. I mean the name of the song is a Magic reference, and then I have another Magic reference in the
love it.
lyrics. But yeah, this one was just like uh, this one I did write a little bit towards like a certain person in the industry, but this one to me was like just kind of a fun, Yeah, just a fun bravado song and
Yeah,
kind of a fuck
getting
you.
getting like the pseudo macho ness out there a little bit, right? And
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of
and
like having fun with it. Yeah.
I love the hook of it's like a really it's kind of a bouncy riff which we don't have a lot of on the record, and just the night lights out I really
Hmm.
liked. And then I guess a personal note on this one is I really try I don't know why, but I really tried to write this song as like a fuck you song with no swearing.
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to see if I could do it, so it's a clean song, but it feels like maybe the most like fuck you on the record, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's just a good little lyrical exercise as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It
No,
was just an exercise. I was like, I should try this.
pulls you out of your pulls you out of your your comfort zone a little bit, might get you to use some different vocabulary. And yeah, I didn't think of PO, like I thought of like obviously like POD crossed my mind when I listened to this because that's a band I grew up with. As fundamental elements of Southtown, right?
Yeah, dude.
And yeah, that kind of bounciness, like that's what that band in their heyday was like. That's what like they kind of them, and obviously Limp Bizkit is like the big one for that. But like those two bands and their different elements really kind of brought that to the forefront of heavier music. And this one's definitely got those elements to it,
Yeah, dude. The
which is
song
cool.
"Boom" is like that's that's probably like top 10 songs of all time for me because it's like bouncy, but
Mhm.
like we forever ago did a cover of this and I'm sure it was terrible, but I want somebody else better than us or something to cover "Boom" because that song is so heavy. The chorus is just chugs, or the verse is just chugs. Like that song is so good.
Yeah,
I'm
really.
a huge POD guy. I love
If
POD.
you they were one of the first bands I think I ever saw live. And yeah, like if you took their music now and put a little bit of modern production on it or modern mixing, basically,
Yeah,
it
tune it
would just
down because I think they were in
yeah.
like standard or D.
Yeah, I think they played it in like standard D or drop C at most,
Yeah.
and yeah, if you it would just like blow people's speakers. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It would be crazy.
It's like such thick riffs.
Yeah,
It's really. I mean, I think they've come back to like people viewing them in like a more positive light, in the same way like with Limp Bizkit too. But like yeah, they were underrated in my opinion as far as like
for
what
sure.
they delivered. As far as bounciness and rhythms and everything in between. Yeah, let's keep going here. Yeah, great song. As always, I'm going to say that with probably every single one of these. But let's get to Cold Hard Truth, which is track 5. Go ahead and speak to this one for me.
Yeah, so this was an earlier one that we had written, and we had the another band that we all collectively like geek out about is My Ticket Home.
Mhm.
And so we had the chorus for a long time on this one, like sitting in our drive. It almost went on, I think we almost tried to write it out for Fear and Loathing, our last EP,
Mhm.
but didn't. And so it just sat in the drive, that chorus with the harmonics on it. And then we felt like we could maybe turn it into like more of a darker metalcore type thing. I think this would be the maybe the most like metalcore song on the record, and it felt darker to me. And so I took the idea of the cold hard truth and inescapability of consequences, catching up to you. And yeah, this was one that we this and Savior we didn't record in the process of the record. We recorded those before.
Okay.
And we've just been on this song for a while. We've had it for a little while and we really love it. And we've played it live and it's a really it has a really cool live energy too. But yeah, I this one is I love this one, really solid and nice to kind of have a little bit of a metalcore tune on there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it still like fits the vibe of the rest of the record, but definitely has like those darker elements that like we were referencing a lot of like more modern metalcore type bands. I think it definitely fits into a little bit. Yeah, it definitely has like a little bit more of the like a little bit of dread more in the lyrical content. I think too, right? Like it's definitely more of like I think a lot of the record feels pissed off at a lot of different things. This one does too, but it's kind of got like that that like I don't want to say like depressing, but like negative connotations in it a little more. Like you said, a little darker, which like fits again with the instrumental interpretation too, which is cohesive and cool.
Yeah, this was one that kind of what I was talking about with like the layers of writing things where I really love the verses on this one because again, there is like rap and like new metal type of rapping kind of like flows. And so much of that, like what really just is cool in rap is like like kind of fuck you, like, you know,
Hmm.
like bravado type.
Attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and so I was really happy with the way the lyrics in the verse came out of like being able to write from that attitude, but as the personification of the cold hard truth, and being able to be like, I could do this, like, you know, the way I'm holding it down, call me Shibari Rope. Being able to like put those lyrics in there without it being me, you know,
Hmm.
I felt like that was really cool. So yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic, and again, it like shows like kind of a little bit of within the parameters of like what someone would call like the Fox Lake sound, like kind of like the other side of things that you've done. I would say like more on some previous records that you still showcase
Yes.
here. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I think that I think that makes sense because we wrote it a little bit in between, you know, the two. And it's yeah, so it's not I wouldn't think of it like an old song, but definitely one
Yeah,
that we've been excited and like sitting on for a while.
definitely. Yeah, great track, and then again, can't say enough good things about it. The next one I didn't even realize because again, I don't like look at the like time length of songs like what when I'm listening to it. I didn't
Yeah.
realize the next one, which is tracks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Nick.
real fast, that it's under a minute and a half. It's like a minute 19, so it's
Dude,
a
the song is
real
really
fast
fast.
song. Yeah, yeah. Uh, uh, but go ahead and break this one down for me.
So we we have working titles for everything. You know, I'm sure every band does, and they're all
Mhm.
just like absolute nonsense. Like, you know, I don't know. One of them was like Sydney Sweeney, and one of them was like, I mean, it's just nonsense,
Yeah.
you know, and like get to know the songs that way. But this one in the demo that we had was called Real Fast because we wanted to remember that like we probably need to write more on this one because it's really it's a fast song and it's short. We and then we were like we wrote it out and we just felt like it didn't need more, or maybe it was cool that it ends before you think it should, and
Mhm.
it also strays away from the kind of pop structure that we typically write around. And and then we were like, well, that's kind of a cool name, Real Fast. And then I kind of wrote the lyrics around that, and it just stayed real fast, even up to like the day of like delivery for the label. We were like, should we change this name?
I think it works. Yeah, I think it
I did
definitely
too. I
works.
love it. Now I love it, you know.
Yeah, that's it's yeah, it's fun, and yeah, this one like you kind of feel your I always think of like new metal. New metal can come from a lot of different avenues of what the sounds are and what the influences are. Whether it's speaking about like Limp Bizkit, and then like some elements of even Korn or some of the bigger bands, like they're completely different sounding animals. But what I think is like the through line is attitude. I think it's like you were alluding to similar to rap and hip hop. That's why like the two can be so intertwined. Even if there's less hip hop elements in the music,
Hmm.
this one to me felt like the attitude song in a lot of ways. There's no meat on it. It's like again a minute 19, and you're just like you just sound like you're just like on top of the world, so to speak, with what you're delivering, which is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I this one is I love this one. I really do because I think it's
The
and
band
it's
name dropping it and everything too.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've always wanted to do that, and it always felt like if it's in like a serious song or more serious, I'm like, I don't know, we're gonna do this. So it felt perfect for that, and then and then we were like, let's start with blast beats. This is something we've
Yeah.
never done. Like, so I love this one, and one thing I really like about this one is that so we released Savior, which is probably our most like quote unquote like radio song. And then Cold Hard Truth, which is probably our quote unquote like metalcore song. And then Pure Adrenaline. And then our next single is gonna be Freestyle. So I feel like a lot of the heavier songs were waiting for the record. But then like I think it's a week before the record comes out, or 2 weeks, we're dropping Real Fast. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited to see the response of like especially people who maybe just followed like the Cold Hard Truth freestyle kind of sing the first few singles and Pure Adrenaline and then be like, what the fuck is this? You know? So I'm
Yeah, because it
excited.
comes out of the gates swinging. That's right.
Yeah,
Like those blast beats, it's like, yeah, this is real fast. Like
yeah,
it's unrelenting. It's so good. I'm a sucker for blast beats, so I was happy when that one kicked in.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a fun one. Obviously, with the next track, halftime, we already talked about it. You get to add in a lot of your, what am I looking for? Your kind of chops with the instrumental world with your piano skills. So we talked about that one. Let's get to kind of the second half of the record, which is starting off with Pure Adrenaline. Just kind of speak to this one for me.
This is one that was similar to Freestyle, where I think it was later in the writing process, and we felt like the battle with this one was like, where's the breakdown? You know, and I think a lot of bands I'm sure have this, but I think we struggle so much of when we talk about things, we're like we want to do things differently. And then you get a song and you start writing on a song and you're like, well, did where's the intro? And where's the outro? And where's the breakdown? And should we repeat this chorus? And you know, sometimes it just fits the song. And I think a lot of the way we write, we want to write it in kind of a pop structure because we want things to be memorable. Like the sing-alongs at our shows is the best part. And
Yeah,
so we want the repetition of those hooks. And I think the hooks are strong enough that we can do it. But this was one where we were like, where's the heavy part? Like, where's the breakdown? And it was a challenge for us, I think, to to try and do something that has maybe breakdown, but didn't feel heavy, didn't feel like moshy. And because there was so much of the rest of the song is like just upbeat. And yeah, and I really like how this one turned out. And it's so much different, I think, than anything we ever wrote. I've had a few people tell us they're like, man, I wish this is what I wish Turnstile would sound like. And I was like, I could see, I guess I see what you're saying. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's more of like a kind of two step. But then we have bongos in it,
Mhm.
these different elements. So that one maybe pushed our boundaries creatively out of the most in the whole record.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of the from your specific you know part of it with the lyrical delivery and vocals, I think a lot of the lyrics here are pretty memorable. To your point of like kind of what like the kind of like what am I looking for, like the kind of you know, callbacks to the crowd, sing song type parts like the hooks and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like the lyrics of the, like the all gas, no brakes, no limits, no fakes, like that kind of thing. Like that's like a chance, like, ready to go. Right. Like and that's something I think you guys do well throughout this record that, like one of my favorite bands of all time, I'm wearing that, I guess today is Straight from the Path.
yes,
And I think what they do really well and you do really well are finding ways to not have really like singing, but you've got these parts that get stuck in people's heads as if it was like this, soaring pop hook,
yeah,
like you're talking about, like the pop
right.
structure. And I think this one's like a maybe the best testament. It's hard to say because, like you said, Savior's like a very good like radio ready song. I
Right.
think, while still being a great song. But like this one, it's either the best or like tied with that one of like where that would instantly kick in with like memorable lines for people to shout back with you.
You said it perfectly. Like, how can we do hooks without feeling like we have to add singing? You know? Um, and yeah, dude, Stray is amazing at that. Incredible at that. And the best of all time is Rage,
Rage Against the Machine. Yeah,
right? They
right,
don't sing
right.
at all, and you go to a ballpark or a stadium, everybody knows the words. If it's metal
Well,
music and there's no singing, everybody knows the words, and that's been a thing for me too, is like sometimes I wish I could do like more lows and gutturals or whatever, scream more, but like I feel like I would rather just like people be able to understand the lyrics and like sing along if they want to without having to like just, yell all the time.
Yeah, and that pulls from some of the influences you're talking about earlier. Again, like you said, greatest of all time with that is Rage, or like Limp Bizkit, or a lot of other bands where
Mm-hmm.
like the hook is the cadence and the lyrics. Then like what you're
Yes.
having to make up for without having melody is are lyrics that get stuck in someone's heads. Kind of like the greatest rap songs that don't feature a folk, feature a singer or something like that. It's the same kind of approach. And yeah, this one does that really well. To go from that one, this is one of my favorite ones, and I think this one kind of dives into that social commentary stuff a little bit. We were talking about, not to the extent of Savior, but Headshot. You've got some different elements in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and break this one down for me. This is another like big highlight for me on this record as well.
Yeah, yeah. This was again, we had the wah, the bum 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 bum, kind of like, I think it was labeled like corn riff or something.
It feels like the beginning of Keep Rolling, from
Yeah,
Limp Bizkit. It's kind of
yeah,
got that vibe
rolling.
to it a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we kind of wanted this like, and it sounded just a little bit creepier, I guess, for lack of a better term, than anything else that we kind of had written. So yeah, I wrote this one out, and this is like the monster track in the way of like, it's the longest song on the record, I think, and it's the most like just densely packed song. But yeah, this one is kind of that, the other social political song on the record, of just feeling like there's something wrong. I wanted it to feel gross, right? Because whether you're on one side of the aisle or the other, or you live in the Midwest or you live on a coast, and you see the world differently, I think, and like studies are also can back this up, is like the general feeling is that like we don't feel super great. Like it feels
Yeah.
like there's something's corrupt, and the food is not totally food, and the what what we say is like in things is like maybe not what's in there totally. Like just this feeling of like there's a reticle like right at your forehead,
Mhm.
that you don't have any power to stop. That's like just the the vibe and the sense that I wanted to convey with the lyrics. And this is the one where I talk about the taxes, slides, tax
Yeah,
money, you
yeah,
could
that's
take your
right. Yeah.
pick. So yeah, and then obviously the breakdown in this one was like probably like the most like over the top maybe breakdown we have. But and then a highlight here is Garrett from Silent Planet being on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I thought that because when I was sending this over, I didn't get the features being sent
Oh,
over
really?
to me. Like
Okay.
it didn't say who was on it, but I was like, that's Garrett, because Garrett's actually been on the show before. He's one of my favorite people I've had on, and I heard that it's like, that's Garrett. Garrett's voice when you
Yeah.
hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it rips.
Yeah.
It like adds so much to the song. And like is very cohesive. Like when I've listened to your guys' music, especially on this record prior to this song, like you're kind of like, he kind of does like that yelling new metal voice in some of their songs. So it isn't quite a scream and isn't quite, is definitely not singing.
Hmm.
And you do a similar thing, and like it fits so well together on the song. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool really cool to even just get him on. I don't think we thought that that was maybe a
Yeah.
possibility or going to come through, and he was so cool about it. Like, cannot speak enough about like what a great dude he is, and how kind he was to us to be on it, and to do like the back and forth line,
Uh
and then
huh.
have that last line with like both our vocals there. I think it sounds like huge, it sounds so
Yeah.
sick. So, yeah, that was a huge part of this song. And then my last little thing about this song is I just hope people make it to the end, because that's the most like random little metalcore breakdown
Yeah.
we'll ever write.
And it like takes things over the top with it too. It's so fun. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
In the middle of like a song that like does cover a lot of like real things that people are experiencing, like you were alluding to earlier. Like it's still just like such a fun jam at the end of it, to just kind of like really like it like punches you in the face in like a good way. I don't know how I was gonna word that in a
yeah,
positive
yeah,
light, but
yeah.
you
No,
get what I
that's it.
mean. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, yeah. I like this song. It's definitely, again, it's like the densely packed one. So yeah, so I'm happy that this is on there, so that it gives the record less of like a 2.5 minute hardcore feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
Also, shout out, I didn't mention this, but track 3, Freestyle, that's Benny from Avoid.
Okay. Yeah. Another person that's been on the show before. I love Benny.
Sick. Okay, cool.
He's so, yeah, they were like two people that like came on this like when I really first started it, and it's just they're just two of the nicest human beings on the planet, and then you give them a microphone and they just become demons. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah.
for real. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so fun. Yeah, yeah. Those are two people. Like, what a couple of, and you had Mugshot on the first track
Mugshot
too.
on the first track. Yeah,
What a great like a semblance of features for this album. Like that's nuts.
yeah, and it was kind of just like we had another feature lined up
Mhm.
and just couldn't kind of make it work. And we were on tour, we were on the Cane Hill tour, and Benny came out to the San Diego show. And we had like chatted online, I think, like Avoid and us, but he came out to the San Diego show and we were just chatting after. And he was like, we should do track. And I was like, we should. And we have this one that we're like kind of like in desperate need of. And so, and he was just so cool about it. And like, yeah, I can like knock this out in like a weekend. And I was like, so, and he crushed it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and super nice. Just the nicest. Yeah, Garrett and him were just so nice to us. And yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, two people that seem like they genuinely just like love the music scene and want to be, in this instance, want to be a part of fun, great, heavy songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
That's
just
great.
chillers too. Just
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely down to hang. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, that one's like I said, that one and this next one we're going to talk about are like it's tough for me to pick between the two of which are my favorite, because this one I would say that like Headshot as far as the music goes is probably my favorite, like in like the delivery and everything, but like the lyrics of Savior, for being your most like quote unquote, as you said, like radio friendly song in some
Mm-hmm.
ways, like as far as the music goes, you got a lot of very poignant lyrics packed into a song under 3 minutes. So get into this one for me, because I would say this is like maybe the most vocally, or I mean, lyrically dense song. It's probably the most lyrically dense song you have on the record for sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah, this one was, I would say, yeah, this one and Headshot, I think, like, are like my, yeah, like, I'm just very proud of how they came out, and it was definitely harder to write.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this one is, I just didn't want to stick to one issue because the message of the song is not one issue. The message of the song is there's so many issues that, like, your politicians and your corporations and your government are not going to save you. Like what saves people is community and other people and taking action and not being passive. And so again, similar to like Headshot of like I wanted to try and like get to all these things of like law enforcement, government, corporations, food, the church, division, all these things to just be like none of it none of it's really going well. So what are we going to do about it,
Yeah, yeah, I would say that you give that pretty like this is another one that like, or this is one that like you are not mincing words. It's very straightforward, I think, in a good
Yeah.
way. Like the lyrics are still well written, but I mean like there's no ambivalence about what these things are about. Whether, like you said, referencing politicians and police, or using criminal justice system to get free labor in prisons, or
Mhm.
like talk about all lives matter, or like that kind of element of things, or talking about the kind of like bastardization of the church and all these different things, yeah, like you said this one and Headshot were tougher for you to write. I could imagine like trying to take all these different topics, which in my view, I'm someone that like talks about this stuff a lot. Like I've had episodes where I also talk to journalists and activists and stuff like that too, and what a lot of those people say is kind of what you're saying here, is it's not just an amalgamation of things. These things are actually all connected as well,
Mhm.
right? Like, which I think you do really well in this. And again, to be redundant, it wouldn't matter if it wasn't a good song, you know what I mean, to not
Sure.
just
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about the lyrics. Like it, you're not preaching to somebody, you're yelling these things and screaming these things in a very cool cadence over like some really riffy instrumentation, which again is like, it can make, I think anyone that would listen through this song and wasn't like absolutely just like checked out would catch what the song's obviously about, as I said.
Yeah,
But you
right,
you would
right.
still have a lot of fun with it, because of, regardless, just because of like where the music and the dynamics and everything lead to as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think similar to Rage, this song I think maybe like on streaming or on the record is more focused on like the content of the lyrics, and
Mhm.
I love that. But again, this is the oldest song on the record. Like it's been out for a while, and so we've just had a few. I think maybe two. two or three tours that we've already been playing this on, and this is, I don't think it's crazy to say like this is the live song. Like of all our shows, like this is the one, which is crazy because like that was also the song since we've been a band, that was like the worst reaction we've had to a song of I think people were coming off like Gaslight, our song with Paleface,
Mhm.
and like that was the big thing. And then the next thing we released was this, and people were like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so and I could see that, but like live, it's like the crowd surf song. Like this is it has this energy to it live that um I don't want to say it doesn't come off on the record, but it is a different animal live, and it's so much fun. And it's cool to have both of that. It's cool to have like all those lyrics and stuff, and then when we're all in a room together, it like encapsulates what the song's about. It's like when we're all together doing one thing together, then it's like so much fun, you know? So you can
Right.
kind of have both sides of the song that way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it, and it's cool that it's while well, it kind of sucks to hear that like I wasn't aware of that it was kind of like a less like I'm not saying sucks, but like that it was like a less well received release for you guys in some ways when you put it out as a single. It's cool that it's like been tailored to being like a prolific song for you live. That's and
Yeah,
at the end of the day, that's what you want, right? Because that'll get not only is that something that fans remember, but somebody that's not familiar with you if you're say doing we'll get to your plugs and stuff at the end of like opening for Bleeding Through and stuff like that. If people hear a song that's memorable, then they go and check it out like on Spotify or whatever as well. So in all those ways, that's cool that it's worked out that way. I'll get into the last two songs of the record. Again, thanks for breaking this down for me and taking your
love
time
it.
with
I
this.
love it, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Gut check. This one is, not to sound super cringe here, but I will anyway. I'm a podcaster. We're already cringe by default. This is a gut. This is a gut check when it comes to the song as well, because this one punches you right in the stomach. In a lot of ways, in some good parts. Break this one down for me.
Yeah, this one we wrote the same time as Savior.
Okay.
So we went down to Austin, Texas with Machine and did like the Machine Shop live sessions and whatever. And we wrote the first version of this song there, which is the same time we did Savior. And we just wanted to take that version that we wrote and just give it a little bit more chugs, a little bit more speed. Um, and the first lyrics of this song is what I I had pinned on my like notes app is a million miles an hour, 1,000 degrees, speed, heat, cash, and a bat to break knees. And like that was the lyric before this was like on the record or we had named the record or whatever. I was like, it needs to have that feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And and I love that. And I think this song is definitely, yeah, it's the idea of like, are you in or are you out? Like, like similar to Love of the Game, right? Buckle up, put your money where your mouth is. Like, hey, like if you want to do something, like don't cry about it. Like, don't cry about something not happening because you're not doing anything. Like, you know, and are you ready for a gut check if somebody calls you out on your shit, you know? And so it has that message, and I think it's a positive message or positive reinforcement, maybe, and it's just fun. It's just a fun,
Yeah.
like, chuggy song, and
It is.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what again. This where like a lot of this record can feel, and I think is, um, angry and kind of talking a little bit of like existential crisis, either personally or at the world or whatever. But I do like the overall through line of like what you said at the beginning, and here is like okay, like we all recognize that, like kind of like what you said in Headshot or a few other ones. Like
Hmm.
we understand, like the overall consensus, if you look at us, polling or whatever from people is shit is bad,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like, but are you gonna complain about that on the internet and or something like that, or are you gonna like do something about it? And I think
Right,
that's like that's a message everybody could get on board with, I would hope.
right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. And it's politically, like, if you don't like what's happening, like, there are outlets for you to volunteer and to donate. But also, like, if you're so sleepy and don't feel good all the time, like, stop eating junk food and staying up till like 4 in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It could
yeah, that too.
it could
It could
have
be like a
so many
personal thing. It
different,
could be,
yeah,
yeah, just like not saying like self-help guru thing, but like, yeah, like if you feel like shit all the time, maybe reflect on why that is.
exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And that goes as that's a good segue into the last song where excessive damage, where I like the lyrics and the what I would call, yeah, the chorus where you say, I don't really give a fuck, life's dull, work sucks, you get what you pay for, curb stomp your own heart because you got bored. When I first heard that, I like kind of cracked up because it's like you don't hear lyrics like just that
Yeah,
straightforward in some ways about
yeah,
this type of stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
fits the song and the whole album so well. I really liked it. So I'll stop burying the lead. Break down the album ender, excessive damage, for the people off this record.
Yeah, this is, man, this is another favorite of mine, and I don't think I've said that much. I think I've only said it 3 times, so I think those are my top
Yeah.
3. If you go back and listen, whatever. But this is a favorite of mine. And I like ending the record on another, like, this could also be. I wouldn't be surprised if people are like, this is the heaviest song on the record.
Mhm.
Yeah, love this one, and we had always wanted to write a open chorus. That's something that just musically we had talked about for a while, of like,
Uh-huh.
um you know, something like a Kubla Khan open breakdown,
Yeah.
but don't make it a breakdown, make it a hook.
Yeah.
And it's like such a cool idea. And then when it came into practice, I wrote this thing like over and over and over, and I was like, I just can't figure it out. And I was like, I think what it needs for the hook is just these lyrics of like, it sounds like you're just like talking to a friend or at a bar,
Yeah.
or you're just like kind of pissed off, like it doesn't, the more lyrical that like I was writing things, the more it didn't seem to fit. And I was like, what if I just say what I feel like right now? You know what I mean? And I think that part is tongue in cheek for sure. But I think that's going to be a really cool part live. I hope it
Mhm.
doesn't get buried between the singles and the record. I hope that that's a song that we can play live, because I think that, of like all the call outs, sing-alongs on the record, would be the coolest. I guess another shout out. We love Guilt Trip, and we wrote this riff and we were like, this sounds like Guilt Trip. And then we were immediately like, it's not, we don't want to copy other bands. And then when you're like, fucking love Guilt Trip. So, we have this, this double bass kind of harmonic thing in there. And then just felt like it ends the record on, it's not a positive note. And I think that's how I wanted to end the record, of like, I want people reflecting when they end the record. I didn't want a way that we like kind of put a bow on it. I wanted it to be like, the lyrics that ends on salt in the wound, boiling blood. You did the best that you could and you got beat into the mud. Like, you know, wanted to end on this note that kind of makes you again continue to internalize things. And yeah, this is a ripper. I love this song.
Yeah, this one's great, and it's a great end to the album in a way that, like you said, I think, like, yeah, those lyrics are tongue in cheek, but like, I don't know, that, like you said, like I think it can kind of take people, like, or what's the word I'm looking, or like phrase I'm looking for? It can kind of like catch people off guard.
Mm,
When you have like those kind of lyrics you have in the hook in a good way, when you kind of throw shit like that out there,
yeah,
that because like the rest of the song does feel a little bit more like lyrical and
yeah,
things of that nature, and then you throw that in there, and it stops you in your tracks a little bit, because that's what it did for me. I was like, wait, is he just like literally throwing these lines out there? But it like in a way that like encompasses the album, I think, in a good way, like kind of like on a ending it like full circle, and I could see this one being a ripper live, like just
yeah. I
like,
think this would be a good
especially like
one.
even like an ender of your set, even, right? Like, I'm
Hmm.
not trying to tell you how to do a set list, but you know what I mean, like it really feels like that kind of thing, which is really cool. And also, I don't know if you guys meant to do this or if it just worked out, but like how this gets sent over from press kits and stuff like that, it like automatically loops, and it like looped like perfectly back into that sample that starts off the record too, and like it's kind of like this feeding of emotions that I thought was a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely on purpose. We did the same scratching sample from Love of the Game, comes in at the end breakdown. and then you have the guitar noise sound effect that like fades out, and then it just picks back up at the start of the record. And we have done that. We definitely did it on our EP Lady Luck. If there's ever like a Fox Lake fandom, I feel like they would have a heyday of like going back and seeing, like, I even do this thing of the first song on each record brings in a line from the last release.
Yeah.
And like Lady Luck is a direct loop. And yeah, so there's a lot of things that I just think we really like to do like that. That
Yeah.
just gives, again, like, it can sound so, new metal and caveman and breakdowny, and it is, but we do put like intentionality behind
Mhm.
things of like magic card references, or like Gut Check has a sample and it's from Rango, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just little things like that, or yeah, the album loops, and we're taking like clips from this and parts from our other songs and bringing it into the new record, and that just makes it so much more like artistic and intentional for us, that we're not just like, here's a riff, I guess, scream over it and let's hope people like it. Like, we really put things into this. And I think, again, there's other bands, and especially doing it right now, like I think of our label mates in Callous Cowboys,
Yeah.
and like, there's the just like the lyricism and the art that is amazing. And and they're, I mean, they're a huge example right now, but like, you could even say Sleep Token. Like, there's this artistic intentionality that's there, and I think our music doesn't suit that, or doesn't as well as some other genres do. And but it's still important for me to like add those things in, and those messages in, or those callbacks, or whatever it is. And so I hope that people can like dig deep underneath, you know hardcore new metal, and see
Yeah.
some of the stuff that's beneath the surface.
Yeah, and I think even if people don't catch that, like I personally was able to catch that more because of just like the way the everything plays for me. It was easy to
Yeah,
catch. But I think doing that intentionality makes things unique, right? Like even if somebody doesn't catch that, the fact that you're doing those little things makes a release or makes a individual song or whatever the case may be, it makes it more intentional for you, so then it actually delivers a little bit more for the listener who might be listening to it even more casually, right?
exactly.
Because if you're not doing that, then there's no way anybody picks up anything more particular from what you're doing, because there wouldn't be anything more that you're delivering
Yeah.
than what you were just saying. So yeah, Nathan, again, thanks for breaking this one down for me. Again, for listeners, this the recorded version of this will be out probably the following Monday after the album is released. We've got New World Heat from Fox Lake coming out on August 1st. Every single one of these songs that Nathan and I broke down are absolutely fantastic. If you like heavy music, you're gonna enjoy it. So again, Nathan, thanks so much for your time. Last two things I will have you do before we get going here is just plug what's going on next for the band. Again, I had said earlier you're opening for Bleeding Through. Just kind of give what's going on with that, what's going on for the band for the rest of the year. And then I also pick, or I also always have the guest pick a song from the record we're talking about to play at the end for people to hear for the first time. So just kind of give the plugs and then pick a song for us to play at the end here.
Yeah, man, what are we doing? So we do have things like in the works, and I'm maybe not exactly sure what I should say or what I shouldn't say, but
Yeah, I know, I get you.
we do have 3 shows in California with, the bill is Salt Wound, us, Unearth, and Bleeding Through. So really, really cool. You get like kind of us with the new metal, hardcore-ish vibe, and then Salt Wound, deathcore, and then obviously some legends in Bleeding Through and Unearth. We are scheduling a EP release show, or possibly shows, uh, to do in Denver right around the release. And then, more stuff eventually in the works. Maybe a headliner, maybe a deluxe edition of the record.
Well, yeah, maybe at all
Maybe.
those. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. So, and of course, all the links where you can find that for Fox Lake, I believe it's Fox Lake CO on all your socials, will be below, along with their website and where you can find the album and all that good stuff. And again, just pick a song from the record you want people to hear for the first time if they're not familiar with the band or they haven't checked out the record yet.
Okay. So I guess my first pick would be Freestyle, but that's going to be a single. So I want to go not single. So let's go. Let's go. It's like picking between my children. Let's go. Let's go. Tough luck.
All right, yeah, that's one of the ones you said was, I think you said for the love of the game, tough luck, and was it gut check
Excessive
or
damage.
excessive damage
Yeah,
that you were
those are
saying were
kind
your
of my
favorites?
faves.
So that makes sense. Yeah, you gotta leave the album ender for people to check out the album. They don't get to hear that on the podcast anyway. Yeah.
You got to put in the work for that one.
Yeah, I got to put in the work to hear the end one. Yeah, so we're gonna listen to "Tough Luck" from Fox Lake from their new record, New World Heat, on the Powerless Podcast. Again, Nathan, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.